Dr. Gwendolyn Evington holds a Doctor of Health Administration, a Master of Business Administration with a concentration in Healthcare Management, and a Bachelor of Science in Business Communications. Dr. Evington enjoyed 32 years as a healthcare professional before stepping into a full-time career of helping others learn to communicate effectively. I think that's the key, effectively. She belongs to Toastmasters International. I have communicated with her about some of that as well. And she's working at the district level leadership in Toastmasters. Also, Dr. Evington is working towards her Distinguished Toastmaster, her DTM, and an accredited speaker designation. She's a peer-reviewed published author and the proud owner and CEO of Claytac Consulting, LLC. I'll let her tell you the meaning of Claytac and what that's all about. A communications business offering services in effective coaching, team building, conflict resolution, diversity, equity, and inclusion. She uses consulting, coaching, facilitation, and training methods and skills to help others reach out and get their full communication potential. She's honored to be speaking with the Hillsboro Rotary Club today about diversity, equity, and inclusion. Dr. Gwendolyn Evington.
How ready do you think you are in this room to deal with the changing demographics that we have, the shift in our demographic? Let me, by a show of hands, how many of you would say, I'm not ready, I need help? Show of hands. Awesome, thank you. How many of you would say, made some progress, but we still have a long way to go? Awesome, more in the room. Made a lot of progress, almost here. Alrighty, and then completely ready. We've got this, where diversity, equity, and inclusion is concerned. I would say wonderful, because we're not there yet, or we wouldn't be having this conversation today. Keeping our minds at the ready to include and accept everyone, regardless of their sexual orientation, regardless of their skin tone. As if you hadn't noticed, I'm a brown diamond in the midst of all you vanilla diamonds, and I am blessed to be right here doing this work, because we are all one people. And when we learn to function as one people, the world will be a better place to live in. This is why I do what I do. I want you to consider 6 different things when you're thinking about your employees, if you're a leader at your job. First and foremost is needs. Everyone has needs. I want to look at people's value systems. They may be different than yours or mine, but that doesn't make them any less important just because they're different. Next up is expectation. Sometimes in a room, we have to manage expectations, worldviews, and thinking. Communication is the last of the 6 considerations I want you to think about in this room when we talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion. Neurodiversity. What is that word? We see all kinds of disorders or different ways of being and thinking on this chart. When you think about autism spectrum, there are some high-functioning autistic people that are working out in our world today. They're not just sitting at home with the stereotypical idea of what that is. OCD, we hear a lot about OCD. You may have people in your workspace or in the groups you deal with that has to have everything just so, put in its place. I had a coworker that I was leading once that was OCD. He was wonderful, because I knew everything was going to be organized. The only thing that I would always tell him, because when the next group came in after he'd organized, he didn't leave a note that I put those files over in the left, or I put them in this drawer. So people would come scratching their head like, where in the world did he do with the stuff? I know he's been here because it's so organized, but they're wonderful. When we talk about equity, most people think of equality. Well, you can have equality, have an equal opportunity at something, but it's not equitable for you to be there. Next slide. What's wrong with this picture, I would say? To your left, they have an equal opportunity to pick those cherries. Absolutely equal. But is it equity being seen here? Because it looks like only the guy on the left is able to reach the cherry. But the other two cannot. They can get them if they can get to them. But then when we talk about equity, we want to make sure everyone is equipped with what they need to get to the prize, to get to success in the workplace, to get to the place and reach their full potential. So we have to make accommodations sometimes. Just as here, now we see equity. We see these two have been raised so that now they can reach those cherries. We want to continue to look at, how do I have equity? What does inclusion really mean? How do you, in the workplace, become an inclusive leader? I'm going to poll you again. Interactive, that's the way that I like to do things. How would you rate yourself in this room from 1 to 5? 1 being not effective or inclusive at all, and 5 being very effective and inclusive. How many of you would say you're not inclusive at all, or 1? Good. How many of you would say that you are 3? I'm coming right to the middle. How many are very effective and inclusive? Most of the room. Now, if I went and polled your friends, your employees, where would they rate you, really? Belonging and inclusion. When we think about that, and in a study, it showed that belonging is a feeling of value, a sense of security through positive connections with others. And you're able to bring your authentic self to work, not just putting on that face, that facade, but bringing yourself. That showed that there's a 56% higher overall job performance level, reaching higher heights. It means that the seat and the table have to change. Dr. Shirley Davis gave this quote, and I thought it was a poignant quote. If you think you're a leader and nobody is following you, you are just walking. Do you want to just be walking, or do you want to be leading somebody somewhere in diversity, equity, and inclusion? Smile is the universal language of welcome. Practice active listening, because I can be sitting here talking to you, but you haven't heard a word I've said. Create a safe work environment. A leader is going to be willing to have those uncomfortable conversations. Everybody wants to be heard and seen. Consider others' thoughts and ideas and building trust. I want to leave you with this. Walt Disney said, the way to get started is to quit talking and begin doing the thing. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. Will you lead the way? And my finger, while I'm putting it out there and pointing to you, 3 of them are coming back at me. And I'm doing my very, very best to lead the way. Because I want you to know, when you see me in the street, it's the same way you'll see me here in this room. Let's make room for each other. Next slide. I want to take just a very few minutes if there's some questions. I think I'm at time, but just a very few minutes if there's any questions. Back in the back here.
Has Pat asked you to join our club yet?
He has talked to me about the Rotary since I've known him. So yes, would be that answer.
And we're a fun crew.
Awesome. And I saw your hand up, sir?
Yeah, so on your equity slide,
Yes.
with the people picking the cherries.
Yes.
So as a chemical engineer and a process engineer, I always try to figure out the fastest, best process for anything.
Yes.
And the way I look at it is you have 3 different people of different heights, and you have to spend money to put those other boxes there.
Yes.
Instead, you could have the shortest person get the cherries from the tallest person that handed them, putting them in the basket or whatever they're doing, and then have the middle-sized person take the baskets and put them in the wagon or on the truck or whatever.
Very well said, but I would say to you, most of us in the room want to do things for ourselves and be equipped to be able to reach the cherry tree for ourselves, even though we might ask somebody for some help. So, good comeback. Anybody else before I close out and turn it back over to Judy? One more back here.
Just what's gotten in the way that you haven't joined us yet?
I am rising in the ranks of Toastmasters. My goal is to become an accredited speaker by the year 2025, because we have to do quite a lift to become that. But right now I'm working at the district level as a division director. So I have a team and I follow these tenets.
I chartered a Toastmasters club,
Did you?
and I'm here.
Well, what happened to you if you're not in Toastmasters still? I'm teasing you. I'm totally teasing you.
I got good at it.
All right now. All right now.
Here we go.
Well, see, I may be on that pole where I'm not yet there.
I think you are.
But at any rate, let me turn. Can I do one more? One more over here, and then I really do need to respect time and give it back to Judy.
If you could give each one of us a tool, a simple daily tool to do every day, you know, on a small scale, just to make a difference each day to start, what would you think that could be?
That can be just as simple as, good morning, Patrick. Wow, it is good to see you here. You've been doing a phenomenal job.
Thank you.
Simple. Quick. But yet he might carry that home with him and go, wow, she said I did a phenomenal job.